Hi everybody, this is Module 7, Movement and Stretching. We're talking about the foam roller today, Change Cavers. Yes, we are. But I'm just going to give you a little introduction to the foam roller. In your handout for this particular exercise, we talk about the company called Trigger Point, which is my favorite because they put out incredibly cool, scientifically tested types of myofascial release tools, like a foam roller, like two balls together. They have this really cool one that are two balls that you can pull apart enough to get them on either side of your spine. They have single balls, they have spiky balls, so I do really like them as an option. All of this is for the purpose of releasing muscle tension in your body and trigger points. And it's really, really important because A, we're too sedentary, so we're not moving our joints through all of the ranges of motion like we should be, so things get sticky. And that's a great reason why the myofascial release work, whether it's a foam roller or a stick or a lacrosse ball, works so amazing. So today we are gonna go through foam roller basics. Now, there are lots of videos on YouTube on this. Please do not watch them unless it is a qualified instructor or a physician who knows what they're talking about. If it's some person in their home who has no background, there are so many nuances to the foam roller, you want to be very, very careful. I'm still learning lots. Every time I meet with the Trigger Point people, I learn new things, and so there's no end to kind of the just little bit by bit shifts that you can make to make things more effective and more safe for you. So we're gonna be doing foam roller today, and I'm gonna be going through what I do if I'm gonna do a body-wide rollout. Here's what I do, and now I'm gonna not do it as long on each place because I'm quite sure you don't wanna sit here and watch me foam roll for a half hour. So I'm just gonna show you technique and then move on to the next spot. And I go about it in a way that makes sense, working through the body, and you can throw on your podcast or your Netflix show and just go to town because your body will say thank you, thank you, thank you for hydrating me, for getting great circulation, for breaking up these teeny tiny adhesions that make things not work like they're supposed to, for releasing trigger points. Your body's gonna be super grateful, and I am too, because it means you're gonna be healthier and more well. So let's get started. The foam roller is foam, and it's a circle. This is a ridiculous foam roller. It's massive, okay? Nobody needs this in their home, but gyms buy them by the boatload because they're cheap and they work great. So your foam roller might be smaller, might be harder, might be hollow. It doesn't matter. They all work. They all do the same thing. So whatever you have is great, okay? We are gonna start on the calf muscles. And so what I do is we get ourselves over here, and if you are a beginner, this will just be enough. Slide your bum along the ground and roll out those calf muscles. If you are a little bit stronger in your upper body and you want a bit more pressure on your calves, then you can lift up and roll that way. And you get a bit of a core workout while you're at it. Next, if you want something a little stronger still, take this leg, put it over the opposite calf, and roll. Make sure to get to the edge of the joint line, not on the joint line. You will remember when you read this exercise, we can go above and below the joint, but not on the joint, okay? So we are doing calf muscles all the way down to the Achilles tendon. And right now I have a sprained ankle, so this is fabulous because so much of a sprained ankle has to do with the Achilles and the calf muscles. So we're just rolling that out. Now, from here, to save your body moving all over the place all the time, you can go straight up to hamstrings. I am just above the knee. And you can lift up and just roll those hamstrings. Now, I don't get a lot of pressure from this, but remember, you're still compressing the muscle, and when you compress the muscle, you squish all the nasty metabolites out, and then like a sponge, when that's all gone and you release it, it's gonna draw in great circulation and hydration. So it doesn't have to be painful. You have to just kind of roll through there, okay? Now, from this angle, I actually like to get peroneals, which tend to be a little tender, and IT band. So steel yourselves, people, because this is one of the most tender bits. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna turn your hip on your side, and you're gonna cross over, and what I do is put my leg like that, and then peroneal, okay? And then we can roll it up above the knee again, and get on that IT band. Okay, and I'm not going over the hip, nor am I going over the knee. IT band. Perfect. So then we would do the other side, IT band and peroneals. Now, for each section, try to do at least 30 seconds or more. If you overdo it, you're gonna know the next morning. It's kind of like if you had a terribly deep massage, you would be very sore, and that is true if you overdo your foam roller. So start slow and light and work up to a longer time period and more pressure. So we would have done our right side peroneals and IT band. Now we're gonna move up to the glutes, okay? So you sit on your foam roller, then you turn on your side and get into the glute muscles. So you don't wanna be on the bony part of the sacrum, you wanna be on the fleshy part of your tush, okay? And so you're rolling here, and that feels really good, and then you would flip and do the other side. All right, and again, this is a shortened amount of time so that you don't have to sit here for 20 minutes watching me do this. Now, a big no-no is the low back. No, we don't do this, okay? You start at the place where the low back turns into the mid back. In my chiropractic opinion, it is not safe for you to foam roller out the low back. It's too precarious. It often can be pushing it into an injury, okay? So please be careful with that. So we start at that spot where your mid back starts. Now, again, we don't roll, okay? We pick a spot and we slowly stretch out over it. Now, you come back to neutral, you rest for a second, and then you get onto your next spot. And you extend back. If you have a neck issue, hold on to your neck, okay? So just so I don't block you, I might do something like this or like this, whatever is comfortable, but you go into and come out very slowly. I will even engage my core, so if I'm way back here, I'll tighten my tummy and then bring myself up. Safer, alrighty? Now, with the foam roller, you might get a few pops and cracks. Here's my advice. Don't push it to the pop or crack. If you get a few little just gas release snaps, that's fine, but do not get on this to try to pop out your back. Okay, it's dangerous, it can throw things out of alignment. You don't know if that popping is shifting things in a good or a bad direction. Leave that to the professionals like your chiropractor and just stretch. Like I said, if you get just a couple little releases, that's okay, but don't go after them, okay? Now, how far up the spine do we want to go? So, if let's say we're here and this is still comfortable, you can go up as high as just below the start of the neck. It's actually not very easy to stretch there because your shoulder blades are in the way. So kind of stop maybe an inch or two before your neck starts. And we absolutely do not want to foam roller your neck because it's not safe at all. And we want to be very careful there. So the one thing you can do with your neck is not foam roller it, but you can just rest. Just rest, let that curve, the normal curve of your neck, be kind of worked into, not against. We're not turning our head back and forth, we're not pressing into it, we're certainly not rolling, but that's the extent of neck. Now, there's two spots on the side I like to get. rotator cuff, latissimus, all of that. And then I like to open up my rib cage, okay? Many of you know I have an arthritic condition. One of the tightest areas is my thoracic spine, so this is really helpful. So not where the ribs aren't, and remember, at the bottom of your ribs, you have rib 11 and 12, and they're floating. They don't come around and attach, so they're literally just hanging out there. And if you stick a foam roller on there, it's going to be very uncomfortable and potentially unsafe. So go to the kind of the biggest part of your rib cage, not where it starts to go into your waist, but biggest part, and stretch your arm out, and then stretch over. Now I like to take this leg and just stretch it back. Gives me a little bit more of a hip flexor stretch, okay? So you would do that on either side. Then you would move up to the killer of all killers, which is all right in here, because guess what? We're on our phones, we're typing all day long. This gets tighter and tighter and tighter. Our shoulders are all rolled forward because those are so tight. So getting in there is not comfortable. It's going to be painful. Not painful, exquisite, as I like to say. So we started the tricep and we just roll up and down like that, okay? Now, in this case, I am going over or across a little bit of a joint, but there is so much muscle here, it's very safe, and as long as you keep your palm down on the hand, on the floor, and you roll through that tricep and then down the latissimus, and you're not going right over the shoulder blade, you're fine. So that's the shoulder. Now, we are going to the front of the body, and this is kind of fun. So one thing I'll also do partway through is just a nice puppy stretch. That's really nice to kind of shake things up a little bit. We're gonna start on the quadriceps, okay? You can also do the sides of the hips, not just the glutes, but the sides. You can do a little bit of hip flexor. I'm not gonna teach that today. It's more of an advanced thing. So, here we go on quads. Get right above the knee, okay? And you can be down like this if you want, and you're just gonna push back and forth. So I'm getting the front of the quadricep right now, and that's lovely, but there are 3 parts to the quadricep. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna bend this leg slightly and roll a little to the outside of the other leg. So my left leg is on kind of the outside, my right leg is kind of on the inside, and you're gonna do a little bit of the inside of the leg here and the outside of the quad, and then we'll roll this way, inside and outside, and back and forth on those quads. Quads hold so much gunk. We're using them all the time. These often are quite tender as well. Now, one last thing before the last thing is you can also get right at the insides of the legs, also often tender. So what you do is you extend that leg, you get almost sideways, okay, on the foam roller, and in and out you go. Ooh, way, that is something, okay? Okay, so that's the inner thigh. Now finally, we are gonna do the one that I really like a lot because it's kind of fun. Who's had shin splints? Okay, this is your best friend for shin splints. You're gonna kneel, okay? And if you don't have balance, you can just do one leg at a time. But if you have some balance, you kneel, you touch your toes on the inside, and then roll in and out, just like that. See, kind of fun. Again, no balance, one knee stays straight, you go on the edge, turn that toe in, and just roll it in and out on your shin. So that covers your basic foam roller. This is very much part of our stretching and movement routine. And we covered in the exercise the idea of passive versus active motion. Active motion is this, okay? If I flex bicep, that's how far I can get it. But if I let the muscle go and something else assists the flex, I can get much more range of motion out of that. And part of this is really, that passive range of motion has a lot to do with the foam roller, because when I'm on my back, let's say, and I'm working my way up the spine, I am stretching all of those vertebrae through their passive range of motion, not just active. So if I turn to the side, I can get so much, but if I'm over a foam roller and I relax into it, my ribs open up way more. So this is one of the reasons it's so beneficial. Okay guys, let me know if you have any questions. It's a really important thing. I hope that you will try it if you haven't already, and that you will follow the proper technique and keep yourself very safe. That's most important. And I look forward to seeing you next time, okay? Thanks for joining.